Saxon Algebra 1, lesson 36. We are at the end of week 10, you guys. We're killing it. So here we go. It's an algebra lesson. There are two parts, but we're really just going to focus on this. We're using distributive property in more and more complicated ways. And so let's just take a look at how these problems shake out. Use the distributive property to expand. That's just a fancy way of saying multiply, all right? So we have a fraction on the outside. And then we have two fractions on the inside. All right. The way that we do this is exactly the same as distribution without fractions. I think that's what's new in this, is that we're distributing with fractions. So we just take the numerator and we multiply it across like usual, and then we just do the same thing with the denominator. Okay? Everybody stays in their lane. There's no numerators getting mixed up with denominators. It's very straightforward. Okay? So we will sort this out. Remember that when we're multiplying bases that match, we can add their exponents. That's the product rule for exponents. And it's super helpful in this case. So here we say, oh look, 2x's, we can add the exponents, that's x to the fourth. We take this and just copy it. Now here, there's no letters that match. So we're just gonna write them all and we're going to put them in alphabetical order with the number first. So it's 3x squared y to the third. Okay, that's the numerator action. Now let's go downstairs. X squared, and then we can put a 1 on that if we want, so that becomes y to the third. And then the minus sign we've already got, and then here we have my squared. Okay, that looks really good, but there's one more step that we can do before we're done. And we notice it over here when we see, oh look, we have y's upstairs and downstairs in that fraction. We can simplify that. That's the only letter, right? We have an x up here and an m down here. There's no upstairs, downstairs situations. But we remember that when you have a base upstairs and downstairs, you subtract top minus bottom. This is the quotient rule for exponents. We've hit 2 of the 3 now, right? So what we can do is remember that we subtract. So let me just copy everything else. X to the fourth, y to the third, minus 3x squared. Now, 3 minus 2 is 1. So that means this reduces to just a y here, and then we'll have just the m down there. This is our final answer. Yay. All right, so we distribute using the product rule, but then we look to simplify if we can, and we use the quotient rule to simplify the exponents. Okay, let's do another one. That was fun. We have 1, 2, 3 examples, and then a side chat, and we're done. Okay. Ready? Make sure you make these problems big enough because now we have numerators and denominators and we have exponents in both. And we have 3 different fractions. There's a lot going on, so make sure that your work is neat enough that you're not confusing yourself. Here we go. APX over KM. Oh, sorry, I don't need to say that out loud. You can just copy me, right? Okay, when John gives us this problem, this is floating. You know how I feel about floaty things. Unless they're floaty minus signs, I'm not having it. So I'm going to put that over a 1. And I sometimes call like one denominators or ones that we put, they're angel ones because they're always there, but we don't always see them. But if we ever want to see them and we look for them, we can find them. We can just add them in. Angels in math are easier to see than angels in real life. All right, ready to distribute? I'm gonna draw my lines, my whoop-de-doops, as I like to say. One of my students named them whoop-de-doops because she could never remember arrows. Okay, ready? A, M, P, X. I'm going alphabetical, right? I usually go numerator, numerator, and then denominators. Okay, I copy the sign. Here, this is an M1, so I can add the M's. 2M to the 5th, P to the 4th. Denominators, this will be KMZ. And this will be just a Z. Right? Okay. Now I see that I've got two M's. There are a couple different ways that we can look at this. One thing we can remember is, like I said before, we can remember our quotient rule for exponents. Gracie just came flying down the stairs. Right? We can subtract. If this is a 1 and this is a 1, then 1 minus 1 is 0. Or we can remember that whenever we have a fraction with the same numerator and denominator, it cancels, right? It just turns into a 1. In either case, these drop out, don't they? And so our final answer is APX over KZ minus 2M to the 5th. Make sense? We can only cancel within each fraction, right? We can't cancel across any adding or subtracting. That's as good as it gets. And that's the right answer. All right, one more. Ready? That one bothers me. I don't like when there's really random letters. I like this next problem because it's A's and B's and C's, and I think that's really cute. 36.3, ready? Gracie is causing some drama. She's getting paid off with treats. I don't know. I don't think she deserves them. I've been hearing her running all around the house. Again, John floats this one. I don't like floaties. I'm putting it over a 1. Grace. She's looking for more treats now. Okay, so I push that up. I make it a fraction. I'm not putting 1s on all of these, but I could if I wanted, right? And you can if you want. Okay, this is a 3-parter, which is no harder. It's just one more step, right? There we go. So let's start multiplying, all right? I'm gonna fix this to be alphabetical. So I'm gonna go A squared, B squared, X. And again, if I want to, I can go, oh look, 1 plus 1. The B's, 1 plus 1, right? You can if you want to do that. And then let's do the next one. Plus, number goes first, 2AB squared X minus 4AB. Okay, let's do denominators now. C to the 3rd, C squared, C to the 4th. Whoa, crazy, right? Hang on, Grace, and let me just check. This is the final answer. Now she wants to go outside because she's thirsty after drinking all of her, or eating all of the treats. Yay, that's the right answer. Okay, stare out the window while I let my dog outside. Hang on, thank you. Oh, you're a hellion. Grace is a very enthusiastic drinker. When she gets a drink of water, she literally lifts up her head and she looks like Niagara Falls. There's just water streaming off her face and it runs all down her chest. and she has really luscious, long hair, and she just drips all over. She's covered in water, so she can't drink in the house. She has to go outside to drink water. Otherwise, we'd all drown is what would happen. So when she's thirsty, I have to let her out. And in a hot minute, I'm gonna have to let her back in, but that's okay. We'll see how long I can get her to wait. The last little bit is a reminder. What John wants us to focus on is the difference between minus signs versus negative exponents. Okay, there's no problems, and we have been doing this. He just wants me to remember. The important thing for me, the way I remember it, is that the negative exponent is actually a trapeze. And a regular minus sign out in front is not a trapeze. I mean, come on, how easy is that, right? So when we get something like this, this is the trapeze, and this is not a trapeze. So we always do the negative exponent part of it first, and we just flip it. We just let the trapeze do its thing. So this would become 1 over, and we copy everything else exactly the same. So we burn off the trapeze by flipping either top to bottom, or if the negative exponent is in the bottom, it might be bottom to top. Right? Here we have it in the numerator. There was no denominator, so we flip it down. Okay? But we can do it bottom to top. We'll deal with that. Now, we simplify using the rules for minus signs. Gracie's crying at the door. And since it is 1 a.m., I better go let her in. Hang on, I'm almost done. Plan your snack. Come, princess. No more treats. Come on. Come on, I have to finish. She's walking around the kitchen still with her nose up in the air trying to find something to eat. Okay, and so we use our regular rules for minus signs. We can't cover that one up, so we know this is actually -4 times -4, right? That's the rule for if you can't cover it up. And so our final answer is 1 over 16. So this is just a little review to help you remember the rules for regular minus signs versus negative exponents. And negative exponents have a very special and unique meaning, and we resolve those first. And remember that when you burn off that trapeze, just copy it exactly the same. Okay, copy everything else exactly the same. See, I don't even think about the rest. I just deal with the trapeze. And then I look and see what I've got and figure out how to simplify it. All right, yay, guess what? That's the end of 36. We have completed 10 weeks of math. Next week is Thanksgiving, and I'm going to be generous with you. I'll tell you in next week's lessons what I want you to do that'll be different. Okay, thank you, goodbye.